All right, man, peace. So, brothers, this video right here is going to be an addition into the Hell Hath No Fury Like a Woman Scorned series. And let me say this, as I've stated in many videos in the past. Oftentimes, people will show you how they deserve to be treated based off of how they conduct themselves, and especially how they conduct themselves with you. So, it's incumbent upon us, and when I say us, I'm talking about you brothers, including myself, to be able to differentiate between fast food and a gourmet meal. And oftentimes brothers are not able to do that, and it costs them in the long run, because the Most High will oftentimes send a good person into your life. You have to know how to treat them when they're there, whether it's your woman, your family members, a friend, or what have you. So basically, just to get to the point, in this court case right here, this person, Miss Jennifer McWhorter, she was formerly incarcerated. She was able to change her life while in prison. She came out of prison and started a relationship with the defendant, who was going to acknowledge that she was probably the best thing that ever happened to his life, and he ruined it because of his infatuation with his quote-unquote ex. And that's going to give me an opportunity to speak on certain issues that oftentimes affect brothers in regards to their infatuation with their ex. Brothers, please understand that for the most part, people are in your rear view for a reason. They're in your rear view for a reason. And when I say certain things like that, it's pertaining to serious issues. When you fall out with someone over a serious issue, you have to understand the difference between that and you having little petty arguments that you would normally have with anyone that you're close to. But anyway, you know what? They're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
Plaintiff Jennifer McWhorter spent 9.5 years in prison as a result of her life as a drug dealer. And after she was released, the defendant was the first man she dated.
You could tell she was locked up. She still do about 200 push-ups a day. That broad wasn't fucking around in prison.
Jennifer claims she broke up with the defendant after she caught him texting his ex-girlfriend. And then she started dating his ex-girlfriend's boyfriend.
Now, brothers, did you hear that? Now, the narrator stated that the plaintiff caught her boyfriend texting his ex-girlfriend. And not only was she able to discern that he was texting his ex-girlfriend, but she was able to get in contact with his ex-girlfriend's boyfriend, communicate with him what was going on, and then initiate a relationship with him. Now, that is what you call a scorned woman and a very malicious woman. So that's why when you deal with these females, you have to really search out every component of their character. And that's why I always tell you, brothers, when you initiate these interactions with these females and you decide to introduce them to your immediate family members, especially if they're males in your immediate family, your extended family, your so-called friends, your so-called colleagues at work, your associates, etc., you have to understand that the woman is an agent of chaos, and she will seek to produce as much chaos as she can, especially if she feels as if you quote-unquote hurt her. So that once again is a reason why you have to take inventory in regards to all the people in your life, what they're capable of, so that you're not surprised, because you have many cats who are imprisoned or dead right now because they never thought that a female would do them quote-unquote as dirty as they did. Get shocked, get surprised, and then want to get some get back by killing everybody. And you can't do that. There's nothing permanent in the flesh, especially in this society, as carnal as it is, and predicated on the law of Thelema, which is just do what thou wilt.
Jennifer suing the defendant for unpaid loans. Defendant Maywan Dorsey says dating Jennifer was wonderful because she had a good head on her shoulders and she brought out the best in him. Maywan admits that Jennifer caught him texting his ex and says it was the biggest mistake of his life.
Well, bro, you have to ask yourself, was it really worth it to get some recycled coochie? Because that's the main reason why cats want to go back and forth with their ex. You just want to recycle some coochie. Because for the most part, you know that that person is not really compatible with you. You know that they don't compliment you in the appropriate way for the relationship to be stable and long lasting. Okay, your ex had some decent coochie, but was it worth it? Was it worth all that nonsense, man? A lot of these broads are not worth the vagina they're sitting on, to quote Nas in that song, Carry the Cross or the Cross, whatever it was on the Godson album. They're just not worth all that. And once you come across a female that the Most High sends into your life that is worth that, who actually cares about you, and that's something that you have to ask yourself when you're dealing with someone. Do they really care about you? There are little things that they're going to do to show you whether or not they care about you. I mean, if you're walking around with your woman and you're walking her to work, you drop her off at the job and you turn and walk away, and you turn back and look over your shoulder. Is she looking at you, or is she just heading straight into the job? Something that will expose whether or not she actually cares about you or not. Little things like that. It might sound trivial, but it makes a difference. A lot of people, believe it or not, do not know how to love. They were not raised in environments where they understand how to love or what love is, which is just loyalty and sacrifice. Most people don't understand that. They come into quote-unquote relationships trying to see what they can get out of the other person. Like John F. Kennedy said, ask not what your country could do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Watch how much more fulfilling and long-lasting your interpersonal relationships are when you're more concerned about how you can help the person that you're with rather than what you can get out of them. And I'm speaking of brothers. You know why? When you have that mentality, it's going to be very easy for you to weed out the bullshit artists, man, because a lot of these people are full of shit, not just the women, but the men too. A lot of these cats that want to act like they're your homeboys or your brothers, they're full of shit, man. So you find in life that as you get older, your circle's going to get smaller and smaller. I've always had a small circle to begin with, so a lot of these things, I've never had to go through any real traumatic experiences to understand a lot of these things. But this brother right here, he clearly had to learn his lessons the hard way. And oftentimes those are the most effective teaching mechanisms, are the lessons that you learn through experience, through bad experiences. It is what it is.
But he insists the money from Jennifer was a gift.
All rise. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding. You may now be seated. Start with you.
Your Honor, Maywana is my ex-boyfriend. We started dating about a year ago. Our relationship meant a lot to me. He was the first man I dated after doing...
How long ago?
A year.
How old are you?
I'm 31.
He's the first man you ever dated?
Well, after I did a 9.5-year prison sentence. Yeah, so needless to say, he was special to me. And
a broad do 9.5 years in the pen, you know she was doing some serious shit. She was involved in something hellified.
And it meant a lot to me to have somebody in my life.
Long time, 9.5 years.
Yes, sir. And
you walked down 9.5, or you were sentenced 9.5?
I was sentenced to 12. I did 9.5. So.
Federal or state prison?
State time.
State?
State time,
That's
yes.
the worst.
Yeah.
What'd you do?
Well, when I was 16 years old, when I was 16 years old, I had a daughter, and I got really invested in trying to look into my future. But at the time, I was trying to make my life right, continue to go to school with having a daughter, and I decided that selling drugs was my only way to still stay in school and provide for her. And
nah, knock it off. Knock it off. Don't try to include the daughter angle. You was out there trying to live the fast life. You was trying to get that money. You was trying to live the street life, and it caught up with you because street life have street rules, and you learned that. And when you tried to go by the code of the street, you got caught up in some bullshit.
And with being a drug dealer, you know there's nothing good that comes behind that. And I was involved with some bad people, and I got robbed, and I wasn't happy about it. And there was a retaliation where the man was beaten and taken out, even though I wasn't present.
Taken out meaning killed?
No, he was taken out of the place that he was at, and so kidnapping.
Yeah, y'all kidnapped him. You took him most likely to a location so that you can get your get back. And you probably was involved in whooping his ass at wherever location y'all took him to.
Yeah, and so I was considered a mastermind behind it all
because you were the mastermind.
Because I was in the middle of the whole situation.
You were an accomplice, and the accomplice gets to...
No, she wasn't no accomplice. She was the mastermind. As I stated, for her to get 12 years in the state pen, they had evidence on her. And most likely, some of her team snitched on her as well.
Accomplice gets the same amount of time as the person who perpetrates the crime. Wow, yes. And so how long ago were you released?
I was released in December 2015.
Okay, what have you been doing since then?
Damn, she damn near fresh out.
Damn.
Well, I immediately got out. I started working. I went to school. I started college. I have an associate's degree. I was very focused, and that's when I...
Yeah, that's what you could have did from the jump. Let me say this, because I did a couple of videos on LeBron James's mother, and I get a lot of manginas and simps that come on those videos, a lot of liberal black females that come on those videos as well, and they always use the same excuse. Oh, you don't know what LeBron James's mother was going through. That's why she was doing what she was doing, because LeBron James's mom was committing acts of larceny. She was breaking into people's homes, robbing their homes, to the point where LeBron James was so stressed out that he was missing an exorbitant amount of school days in the school year, to the point where he got suspended from school because of it, and he was so depressed about what his mother was doing that it was affecting him psychologically. And of course, many of the manginas in the so-called black community and the liberal black females in the so-called black community, they hate when you hold a lot of these females who have been empowered in this society accountable for their actions, and they claim that, well, you know, you don't know what she was going through. Let me say this. A lot of people in my life have gone through a lot of hard situations. I've gone through hard situations in my life. When you decide that your hard situation is going to start affecting other people's lives by breaking into their homes, by robbing them, by beating them down, by killing them, now it's no longer an issue of compassion for you. Now you have to be held accountable for your actions. And that's the bottom line. And with as many conventions as there are in this society to help females that are going through rough situations like that, there is no excuse. But I'll probably be touching on the LeBron James mother situation somewhere down the line. But as this female here has testified, there were options for her. She just did not want to seek them out because she wanted to live the street life.
Well, he won't be your last boyfriend.
No.
With all the progress you've made.
Thank you.
All right, good luck to you. And where do you know the defendant from?
We got to know each other at my job.
This nigga look like a thugged out Gary Coleman.
He would come
Prison?
No.
No, okay.
Not at all.
He got the prison look.
No.
You do.
No.
He doing this. Hey, what in this? How they doing it?
He trying to ice grill you, Yana.
When's this gonna end?
Got his hands all like that.
That's giving you posture.
Don't posture like that in here. That's what we call mean mugging, and that don't have a good turnout.
Mathis said, mean mugging don't have no good turnout. He said, back in my day, I just pistol whip your ass, but now I'm a judge. So, I just give you 5 to 10 days,
Don't mean mug me in here, Doc. I got my boy from the project days with me, Haywood. He know I mean. He know what to do with the mean mugging, all right?
I have Haywood run up behind you. Just grab you by your neck and escort you out. That's all.
And now and then I bring my goons in here in the audience. Let's let y'all know.
Let them know, Yana. It can still get down and dirty.
So, you tell me how you know the plaintiff, sir.
Well, she worked at a place that was a block from my house, and I go up in there and get food every now and again, and I went in there to check her out a couple times.
I went in there a couple times, Yana, bought me a sandwich or two, and I said, oh, look at that vanilla sundae over there. I like me a lick.
A couple times, you know what I'm saying, didn't really talk to her yet, just kind of peeping her out a little bit, and then finally I went in there and asked her name, and if she liked to, if I could take her out sometime. So she said, yeah, we exchanged numbers, and that's how we got started.
Okay. And how long ago was that?
That was probably about a year ago. Yeah.
All right. And what was it like dating?
It's wonderful.
Okay.
Man, we had a
good.
We did. We had a wonderful relationship. She's a beautiful woman. She got a great.
So in other words, you fucked it up because you wanted to be a player and still talk to your ex. Brothers, look, I say this all the time. A man can have more than one woman, but if you know that you're dealing with an exemplary woman and she states that she is not okay with you having more than one woman, if you decide to have more than one woman, that is what you're stipulating for your own life. And you will have to deal with the repercussions if the main woman decides that she wants to leave. So life is all about choices. It's all about you understanding what the consequences are going to be for your actions. But once again, there's nothing wrong with a man having more than one woman. But if you know that your main woman cannot be replaced, if she's superlative, then you may want to consider putting them other bras to the side, because once again, most of these chicks ain't number scalawags any damn way.
got a great head on her shoulders. You know what I'm saying? She strives for the best. She's helped me strive for a great.
I agree with all that. So, what happened?
Well, like I said, Your Honor, man,
hard to find a good woman out here, just like it's hard to find a good man. What happened?
I understand.
I agree with that, Your Honor. That's a great comment by you.
I understand.
Does she go to the strip club every night?
Oh, no, sir.
There you go. Does she chase dope boys all the time?
Oh, no, sir.
There you go.
No,
that's a good woman.
Oh, yeah.
Now, did you hear what Judge Mathis stated? He said, is she going to the strip club? Is she chasing dope boys? Who is he talking about? He's talking about the liberal black woman.
Yeah, all the women her age that I know of, the majority of them, including one of my daughters, went to a strip club. She slipped up and told. It probably goes all the time. I don't know. Because they say that's the party spot now, I'm told.
Did you hear what Mathis said? He said all the women her age. He said all. So, once again, when you're a three-dimensional thinker, you understand the power of culture. People say, well, you can't judge everybody. Well, when you have a group of people raised in the same environment, they are going to conduct themselves in a similar way because that is what they see going on around them. So Judge Mathis is addressing a cultural issue now with the young females. And believe me, he was spotlighting the so-called liberal black female. That's why he shouted out his own daughter.
And your woman wasn't doing any of that?
None of that.
All right, good. So what happened? How did you break up with this good woman?
He was an idiot.
Your Honor, man, I was young, I was dumb. One of the dumbest.
Young and dumb? Bro, it happened about a year ago.
One of the dumbest moves I could have ever made. I was texting my ex-girlfriend.
Brothers, once again, people are in the rear view for a reason. You know damn well why it did not work out with your so-called ex-girlfriend. You have these dysfunctional relationships where people talk about we were on break and then we got back together and then we was on break and then we got back together. We broke up, made up, broke up, made up. All that nonsense. You should know within maybe 2 times that you've made up with the female that you're with. If it happens another time, have a nice day. And oftentimes it should only take one instance of the dissolving of your rapport, of your relationship with that female to understand that it's not meant to work. Because many of these females have too many options for their brain to handle. They have the so-called male friend, they have the colleagues at work, they have the exes that are still texting them, so on and so forth. And they like to create these dynamics where there's competition for them because their egos oftentimes are so fragile. So when the rapport is broken, let them go, because 9 times out of 10, if the broad is gone for 2 weeks, she done had 3 or 4 penises. And then she gonna try to come back to you trying to act as if nothing happened. And you cannot degrade yourself that way. Once again, the so-called black man has to view himself as a king. In order for you to view yourself as a king, you have to conduct yourself as such. And you have to have your standards to where the female understands that this is how she's going to conduct herself and these are the bylaws that she's going to abide by, or she can have a nice day, and that's okay.
I was texting my ex-girlfriend.
All right.
She got my phone, went through it, saw them text messages. You know, then she was upset, which I understand. She had every right to be. I understand that. You know?
His text should have said, I met the greatest girl in the world.
That's right. He should have said that.
Hey, that happens. Sometimes you got to tell a lot of these little scalawags to kick rocks. If you're saying that there's a possibility that they could affect what you have going on with someone who's special.
Ma'am, why don't you tell me about the loans, unless you want to elaborate on the breakup? You want to elaborate on that? Did he deny it? Tell me how that went. I'm being nosy now.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me how that went.
Well, you can see that she's done because she's not even really willing to expound on the parameters as to why they broke up. So she's done with him already. That should be a lesson for him, that if he's fortunate enough to run into a female that actually knows how to care about him and knows how to love him, that he does not forsake it for a $2 hoe.
I think it,
or a so-called ex-girlfriend.
I think it was going on for a little bit longer than what I realized, and I had a feeling because woman's intuition tells her a lot. And
woman's intuition is overrated. I just think that if you have basic perceptive abilities, that you should be able to understand when your so-called significant other is doing something untoward that they should not be doing. But female intuition oftentimes gets women in a whole lot of trouble. The one thing that he should have understood is that if you're going to be running around sliding off with other chicks, you cannot leave your phone unattended. And you're not supposed to make your password something that would be easy for your so-called significant other to deduce. That's if you're going to go through all of that nonsense of trying to hide what's going on.
And I found out what he was doing, and I was very angry. And I then decided to let her boyfriend know, because she had a boyfriend, that they were talking. And I had text messages that I forwarded to her boyfriend. And with that, I actually got to know her boyfriend, who left her immediately. And I didn't want to be bogus, but he was actually a really great guy, just like I was a really great girl. And
your boyfriend, did you start dating him?
Yes, I did.
Hey, brothers, you see that? This, once again, is why you always have to understand that the female is an agent of chaos, and she will look to create as much chaos and anarchy in your life as possible. Why did she start dating her ex-boyfriend's ex-girlfriend's boyfriend? Because she understood that that is the thing that would probably hurt him the most. And he deserves to be hurt like that because he was foolish. First off, you're still talking to your so-called ex-girlfriend, who probably wasn't worth shit anyway, because if she was, she wouldn't be your ex. She'd have been your woman. Number two, he allowed his phone to be accessible to this female right here, who seemed to be very sharp. And then number three, most likely she came into contact with the so-called boyfriend of the ex-girlfriend, either through the defendant or through the defendant's ex-girlfriend. So you're supposed to keep a lot of that stuff separate, man. You're not supposed to intermingle your woman too much with all of these ancillary people and aspects, because you're only going to create dynamics that you yourself are going to have to deal with down the line that are unnecessary. Look at the people in the audience cheering. That's why, once again, this is going to be a part of the series on Hell Hath No Fury Like a Woman Scorned, man. You could tell that the plaintiff most likely had very sincere feelings for the defendant. And once her feelings were hurt, she went about trying to see how badly she could hurt him.
I know you nearly died.
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
Slow death.
That hurts.
All right, tell me about the loans.
Okay.
Heartbreaker.
Don't go away. There's more Judge Mathis after this.
Loan, $2,245. What are you showing me here?
This is just the breakdown of it.
All right, so tell me.
$245. Well, initially when we were talking at first and stuff, I did want to see him prosper. I'm kind of driven, and I helped him in a sense that he had some unpaid traffic fines, and I knew that if these fines were paid, he'd get his license, which makes life easier. And we agreed I would pay these fines, and he would start to pay me.
$320, is it?
Yes, sir, $320. And he said he would start paying me back in February as soon as possible.
The next month? This was January 17th. You say it began February. Go ahead.
And then when February comes along, it's Super Bowl. He's excited. He busts his phone. That's my boyfriend. I want to be able to talk to him. And I put $450 down on a phone for the service charge.
He wasn't working?
He was working.
Well, what was he doing with his money? When you'd ask him where your money's gone.
He was spending it on the ex-girlfriend.
Gone. You're taking my money. Where's yours going? What would he say?
Bills. He would break down how he was paying his bills and what.
Did it look reasonable?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, all right.
Nah, the only reason why she said it looked reasonable because she liked the rod that she was getting from the defendant. That's all that shit was really about. I mean, if you're a grown man, you understand how to budget your funds so that your bills stay up to date. You should not be having to ask your so-called significant other to assist you with bills unless something unforeseen occurs. Now, I mean, if you broke your phone, if you have an issue with your car and your car breaks down, then maybe you just have to go without for a couple of months. Now, if your significant other finds out and they demand to assist you, it's up to you to allow them to help you. But I always tell brothers this: whatever the woman gives you, you always reimburse her back. He should not have to be in court to reimburse the woman, even if she's his ex. It's part of being honorable, man. Pay the woman back. Not even for her, but for yourself.
Yes, I give it to him. He does work, and he works hard, and that's why I didn't mind
helping him. You're just supporting your man, and he showed you how he was being responsible. Good.
Right, and that's
you all were a good couple. What happened? Good couple. Why didn't you give him a second chance, though? Most ladies give at least a second chance.
They didn't give me a second chance, Your Honor, and I became a better woman.
I agree. Now, what she stated sounded kind of harsh, but it's not truly harsh. the best lessons are the ones that are the hardest to accept. Let me rewind it back.
How he was being responsible. Good.
Right. And that's
you all
why
were a good couple. What happened? Good couple. Why didn't you give him a second chance, though? Most ladies give at least a second chance.
they didn't give me a second chance, Your Honor, and I became a better woman.
Now, she sounds cold, but in reality, the reason why she didn't give him a second chance is because she was already talking to his ex-girlfriend's boyfriend, and she liked the new ride that she was getting from him. So automatically, he became replaceable. That's all that was about. And most likely, the ex-girlfriend's boyfriend had more going for him in regards to his job and his outlook. Women in particular, and people in general, but women in particular, are all about options.
I bet you wasn't as cold-hearted when you went in.
I bet you she was. Remember, the bitch masterminded somebody getting kidnapped and pistol whipped. Allegedly.
That's happened. You come out cold-hearted.
Probably the only thing that stopped the defendant from getting his ass whooped was the understanding by her that she did not want to have to go back to prison for that.
You cold. All right. So 1475. That was the last one in February of 17.
Yes.
She's smart though, because she understands that disloyal people are going to be disloyal their whole life. You have a lot of people walking around out here who are disloyal, and they cannot figure out why their life is not going how they want it to go, especially from a personal perspective. You have people out here talking about how come I can't find a good man, or how come I can't find a good woman. It's because you're disloyal. Most likely you're a piece of shit. That's why good things are not happening for you, because you're not conducting yourself in a way to precipitate good things coming to you.
I paid in full in cash, $1,475.
For a vehicle,
For a vehicle, yes. To help him with all his independence and with his license and everything. And we agreed, starting in March now, that all three of these loans would begin to be paid off.
And he hasn't given you a dime.
He hasn't given me a dime.
Well, the last time you asked, what has he said?
The last time I asked, I have it in...
Okay, let's see it. Sir, what do you say to this? I done told you about all that mean-mugging, man. Straighten your head up.
Yo, Judge Mathis is about to have his goon handle this dude. Nigga, I told you to straighten your head. Now don't make me take off this black robe. I got something for your ass.
Head up, man.
I'm just...
disrespectful. You know that.
Disrespectful, Gary Coleman. Don't make me call Mr. Drummond in here on your ass.
Go ahead. What do you want to tell me about the loans?
Yeah, she did help me out, you know, and I'm unfortunate that she did help me out. But I just, at the time, I thought, you know what I'm saying?
But you have children?
Them was just, yeah, I got a son, 8-year-old son.
And you have to pay child support?
Oh, yes.
And you do?
Child support, a.k.a. tribute money.
You do?
Yeah, they take all that out.
All right, so I can see how you might be in a more financial disadvantage.
I just felt, yes, sir. I just felt they was gifts. At the time, we was dating. I just felt they was gifts. And
bullshit. The woman gave you money to assist you with your everyday life. Pay her money back.
And I feel like I didn't have to pay nothing back.
Honor flowers and candy as gifts.
That's right. She's cold. She's cold.
I agree, especially since y'all are not together anymore. If you're trying to get back together with her, you're not going to get back in her good graces by fighting over the money that you know that she gave you in goodwill or lent you in goodwill, whatever the parameters were, in order to get you back on your feet. Be honorable.
You need to get with a real one. You 100. You need a real one.
Yeah.
Babe, are you going to have money for me? She even called you babe. Babe, are you going to have money for me this week?
Yeah, call him babe because she was trying to sweet talk him to get her damn money.
Let me pay my cell phone bill, honey. I definitely should. I would read the rest of it just for gossip. What about your shoes? I guess I ain't getting them. How much you get? $230. Why wouldn't you get them then? Because if my cell phone bill is $90, I'll pay you. You sounded pitiful. I ain't going to...
He does sound pitiful.
I ain't going to read no more. You stood up there all that and then sounded pitiful. Judgment for the players. Have a good day.
understand she's in a relationship with somebody else, and I just want to be friends. I just want to get.
Don't even try it, bro. Look at this broad face. This bitch like the ice queen. She ain't thinking about your ass. You lucky you ain't get shanked.
To get past all the BS and just be friends.
I just want to move on with my life. We can be friends, that's cool, but I just don't see that happening.
In other words, you ain't trying to talk to his ass no more. She contradicted herself in one sentence. She said, we could be friends, that's cool, but I just don't see that happening. Well, which one is it? Just say you want your money and you don't want to deal with his trifling ass anymore. It is what it is. Brothers, once again, the Lord will send you a good woman or two good women in your life. You have to do right by them. Or you just have to be content with dealing with scalawags and maintaining your own partition. And some dudes are like that. Some dudes just prefer to just be by themselves, and wherever some scattered pussy come along. But when the Most High does send you a decent female, a good woman, then you have to do right by her. And you cannot sit back and try to blame her for your bad decisions. It is what it is. Peace.